Today, we are going to talk about how to effectively onboard clients so you can have less headache and make more money. Hey guys, so I'm currently preparing 2 commercials for a tourism client, which I'm gonna shoot at the end of next week. And then right after that, I'm heading to Congo for a 4-episode documentary series about poaching. As you can imagine, both of these projects require quite a lot of attention from my side. And so in order to be effective, the next couple videos on the channel will be very closely related to these 2 projects that I have ahead of me. And as I'm preparing for the tourism commercial, I thought that it might be beneficial for you, especially if you're in the early stages of your career, to see how I onboard a client. What is my workflow when I'm onboarding a client? Because from my experience, I used to struggle with it a lot, and every client that I would onboard would have a little different process. So having a proper, systematic and structured onboarding process is very important because it will save you time, it will save you headache, and it can help you make more money. So whether you're a solo filmmaker or you have a small production company or you're a videographer, but you're managing your own clients, I think that you will find a lot of value in this video. Now let me first give you an overview of my workflow, and then I'll go into a little more detail with each step in the process. So the workflow goes like this: initial contact with the client, client brief, discovery call, treatment, pricing and timing, contract sign and deposit, pre-production includes creative and logistics, pre-production meeting, production, post-production, and final delivery. So everything starts with initial contact, and that's pretty straightforward. This is where the client reaches out to you and initiates contact. Now, usually they come to you with a little brief, with an idea of what they want, how many videos, how many photos, what type of videos. Maybe they even have some inspiration in mind, and that's great. But from my experience, usually it's not enough information. And so after the initial contact and the brief that they provide you, first thing I want to jump on a discovery call. And discovery call is really where you find out all the necessary information so you can later on prepare treatment and pricing. As you can see, I have a document in Milanote which I use for the discovery call, and I usually start the discovery call with a little small talk. I try to get to know the client, I try to see what type of person they are, and if we have anything in common, if we love travel, if we love adventure, and so on and so forth. So you create that little bit of a human connection between you and the person that you're talking to. Because they're coming to you and they want a quote from you or they want a video from you, then I try to keep this quite short and then go straight to the point. Now, when you start talking about more details, you really want to be asking questions rather than giving opinions and recommending the client what you think they need. Because through asking questions, you can show that you're really interested in the client, you're interested in their business, and you're interested in helping them. So some of the questions that I ask are why they want the video, why they need a video. If the client can't even answer why they need a video, probably they won't be very convinced about paying a lot for that video. The second question I ask is if they have any inspiration, if they have videos that they like, or if they have videos that they would want to create something similar. This can really help you with estimating the budget, because depending on the video, you can say, okay, this was probably a 5,000 commercial, or this was 20,000, or this was 100,000 commercial, and so on and so forth. I also always ask who is their target audience, what is their biggest challenge right now, because in the end, you want to help solve problems. And so if the client in the first initial contact tells you that they want a brand film, but then you realize that their biggest challenge is actually convincing customers to buy, then maybe a brand film is not the right choice, and you might want to recommend them something like customer reviews, or success stories. Now, you also want to know what the video is highlighting. Is it highlighting a product, a person, a value? Is it building brand awareness? Is it directly trying to sell? And here you can also try to really find layers, Even if they're promoting a product, you still need to find something that will resonate with the client's audience. So it's not just the product itself, but it's what the product is bringing to the client. What problem is the product solving for the end customer? I always ask them what they want the video accomplish. This could be quantitative goals like sales, getting to as many people as possible, or it could also be just brand building. And this is something that is not so easily measured, but it's also a very important aspect of branding. Another question I ask is, what action would they want the customer to take at the end of the video? You know, do they want the customer to feel emotionally touched and maybe wanting to experience what they saw in the video? Do they want the customer to go to a website and book something or buy something, and so on and so forth? The last two questions is, when do they need the video and what is their budget? I think it's super important to know what budget you're working with, because then that will guide what proposal you're gonna prepare. You know, if they don't tell you a budget, they show you an example video of Ralph Lauren, and then you're gonna quote for a similar video, you come back to them and then they tell you that they have $5,000, then you've wasted your time and you've wasted their time as well. So it's really important to have enough information about what they want and what is their budget. So discovery call, very important, and if you would want, I can make a separate video on this topic. After you collect the information, I go to a treatment, which is where I prepare a presentation with all the information that I got and with a few proposals. You know, maybe there's 3 versions of videos if the client wasn't really sure what they want. Maybe there's 3 different budget options. And in this, you really want to, you know, don't just send an Excel sheet with the pricing and a little bit of description, but almost create like a director's treatment. So you show that you know how to work professionally, and you really try to sell the client the vision that you have for the project through a little mood board, you know, through showing your previous portfolio and previous work that you've maybe done in the similar niche, and so on and so forth. And this also comes with pricing. So treatment goes straight into pricing. You can either price already in the treatment, or if you're just creating a brief concept in the treatment, then you might want to break that down later and send the client the pricing and time estimate. And once they approve this, then you can send contracts. I definitely always want the contracts to be signed and at least 50% deposit to be sent before I start working on the creative in detail. But once the contract is signed and once I get the deposit, I'll go then into creative pre-production and logistic pre-production. So creative, you know, that includes developing the concept, that includes mood boards, that includes tone, includes storyboard, shot list, and then logistics that could include hiring talent, hiring models, transportation, accommodation, insurance, equipment, and so on and so forth, depending on the scale of your project. Now, after all the pre-production is done, we also do a pre-production meeting, which is basically me and the client and other important players within the production. So we can go over everything, over the schedule, over the call sheet, over the concept, and just get kind of like a last approval for this, and then we can go and we can start the production. And so then you go straight into production. This is where all the fun happens, where you use the gear, where you shoot, and where you basically materialize the creative vision that you had and that you proposed to the client. After production, you go into post-production, and post-production also very straightforward. This is where the editing happens, color grading, sound design, you know, exporting different deliverables, client revisions. I usually give 2 client revisions, and once the product is done and approved, then final delivery happens. Throughout this process, I usually want, as I said, payments in advance, so 50% prior to the production kickoff, 25% maybe 2 weeks after the production happens, and then the last 25% before the final deliverables. You can be a little flexible here. Either you could get paid after the final deliverables, or you could get paid before you deliver the final files. It really depends up to you and how well you know the client. And so this is basically my workflow when I'm managing my own clients. And what you see on the screen, it's Milanote template that I use. As you can see, everything is nicely organized, and you have all the necessary stuff that you need. Every board has its place and its role, and I'm still developing this, but let me know if you would be interested in actually downloading this board. Once it's finalized, I might be putting up online, so you can also use it. And that's it for today, guys. So something a little different, this time not from a perspective of a DP or a director for hire, but from a perspective of someone who's actually producing, because that's something I also do. Not always, but I would say I have maybe 3 to 4 projects per year that I produce myself, and I basically take care of everything from the creative, pre-production, production, post-production, and so on and so forth. So let me know if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and let me know if you would want to see more videos like this. As I said, I'm working on this commercial and then I'm heading to Congo, so there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up for the channel. There's gonna be a lot of BTS next month, and overall it's just gonna be a lot of stuff in the terrain, especially from the Congo expedition. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll see you next Tuesday with a new video. Peace!